Schwartz, and they lived in
Friedrichstadt, which is way at the tip of northern Germany, near the Kurland border. And so Mother always said they came from Riga, which was the large city in Kurland at that time.
Well, they were very proud of the fact that they came from Kurland.
Now, the order of who came first, apparently it was our grandfather's older brother who came first. Then he brought their mother over, and then Grandpa came, and finally Grandpa's wife, which was our grandmother, and her 4 little daughters.
Well, tell what her background was. She was Spanish. She
Right.
came from Spain, and it was one of these arranged marriages. I think she was very, very, very young and very beautiful.
Yeah, she was 14.
What? When they got married?
Well, maybe 16.
Oh, give her a break.
They married young in those days.
Yeah, but anyway.
She was shipped over to
Riga.
Friedrichstadt, yeah.
Riga from Spain.
And when
She was an orphan.
Yeah, she was an orphan. That's why it was an arranged marriage. And when Grandpa saw her, the story goes, he fell madly in love with her. She was supposed to have been quite beautiful.
And she had a very fiery temper. And she was the boss.
Oh.
She ran the business when they had the business, yeah. They ended up in Hawthorne, which is now Cicero, I guess.
That's right.
And as I've always said, if I could draw, I could draw brick by brick and pair of pants and coat and the candy and the kerosene lamps and where they lived upstairs, just inch by inch. I mean, it's, the candy. The minute we kids came in, if you come to the front door, 1 step, and on this side, there was the stairway going up to where they lived, and on this side were the candy, and we could take all we wanted till we got sick, you know. And Grandma gave credit to anybody that was beautiful. She loved beautiful people. I do too. So, but Grandpa didn't really do anything but go into Chicago and buy a kosher chicken or something, but she ran the store.
The dating was more or less arranged and was within the Jewish community. And first, the oldest daughter, Emma.
Well, one died, the oldest.
Oh, that's right. The oldest daughter.
Jeanette or
Yeah,
Jenny.
Jenny, yeah. The oldest daughter. She was married at 14.
Yeah.
And she died at 16.
In childbirth,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So there was Jenny, then there was Emma. Oh, Emma eloped. That's a good story.
That's a good, you tell me.
Yeah. My Aunt Emma was my favorite. Aunt Emma was to be married, and very nicely because he came from, I don't know, Michigan, or he came from another state, and he was at their place, their house, or whatever it is, and they say the wedding was to be the next day. There were invitations that were sent out. And so Emma had to go into Chicago. I never knew whether it was to pick up the wedding cake or her gown. But she was in love with Morris Sternberg. So at the last moment, it's a heartbreak story. She goes to see Morris. He worked in a picture frame store, and to say goodbye. And inadvertently, she probably said, it was $50 to pick up whatever it was she was going to pick up for her wedding. And so Morris, who was a very handsome man, said, Miss Emma, if I had $50, I would ask you to marry me. And she said, I have $50. And they eloped. They went to Milwaukee. Now, the groom-to-be is still waiting. And of course, she didn't come home that night. And my grandmother's consolation to him was, it's a good thing you found out about her now. So that was Aunt Emma.
Yeah.
Then?
Okay. Well, and then there was Lottie, the beautiful one, who wanted to move to Chicago all the time.
Really beautiful,
Yeah.
And she went on a hunger strike. And to such an extent that Graham in the store below would say, somebody go up and see if she's alive. Because you wouldn't eat. Because she wanted to move to the city where the action was, I guess. And they did eventually. And of course, they had no money. They had to come back. They went flat broke.
Did they leave Lottie in Chicago?
I don't know where the action. With the action.
For the action, or they brought her home too?
She
Okay.
must have had to come back. God knows how they lived in Chicago.
Then there was our mother,
Yeah,
who
Tilly.
had been married early and divorced because
Which was
that had been an arranged marriage to a cousin who turned out to be crazy.
well, but he had a fast horse and carriage.
Oh, yeah.
He was a jeweler or
It was,
something.
he was a goldsmith. And it was a very bad marriage. And so they were able to get that marriage annulled.
Got a
And here
divorce.
she is home, and she's in her mid-20s, and that was scandalous. Because her
A
younger
divorce
sister,
was the worst thing.
That's it. Well, but her younger sister, Celia, wanted to get married to Morris.
Kurtzon.
To Morris Kurtzon, but she didn't want, but our mother was 15 years older, something like that.
No,
She was older than Celia.
not 15 years.
I'm sorry, months. Right? Yeah. So Celia figured she had to get our mother married first.
She didn't want to leave her. They were good friends,
They were good
pals.
Yeah, yeah.
And she felt terrible.
And
She was,
meanwhile, our father was courting
and Mom didn't
our
like him.
mother, and she didn't particularly like him. But one day he called when our mother wasn't there, and Celia answered the phone. She said, "Oh, Mike, I've been waiting to hear from you." And
Why don't you come out?
He said, "Can I come out?" She said, "Absolutely." And
Poor Mom.
Yeah, he thought it was our mother on the telephone, see? And so he came out, and anyhow,
I guess she was lonesome.
eventually she married him.
Dwelt in marble hall, and
We all took lessons in our family. We had a piano.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yes.
You mean people would come all the way out from Chicago?
Well, we had
to hear
company
you sing?
all the time. But our house was always filled with company. Every weekend, you might say.
How long did it used to take to come out from Chicago?
Took plenty of time. And they'd have to change streetcars several times. And Hawthorne was my entire life. When I came to school there, I was in the 3rd grade.
Oh, that's
And we had to walk a mile to the school, and the snow would be up to our shoulders. And I remember that Celia and I, we each had a coat with a big cape, and I'd put Celia under my cape, and I'd drag her along, push her along. I was always protecting her.
I got to tell a story about Celia.
All right.
Goes on the honeymoon. He had a business. He was an inventor, and he was well off financially. They claim that she looked him up in, what is it, where you look up a person's stand, Bradley or wait a minute. But the story is they're on their honeymoon. They leave on the train on their honeymoon. And she says, she told me this. She says, I looked at this man next to me and I didn't even know him. And she started to cry. And he said, well, what's the matter? And she said, well, I don't know you. I'm married to you, I don't know you. And he said to her, is that a new purse you have? She said, yes. He says, give it to me. So he takes the purse and he put money into it and gave it to her. She looked at it and she said to me that day, she said, you know, After that, I never cried another tear. Their whole life.
That was a good marriage.
Because he was very successful. And then there was Sam.
Sam, who was born
The
here.
one son. They adored Sam.
Finally, after my grandparents moved to this country, they had a boy after 5 girls. Sam's greatest gift was in storytelling. He would create marvelous stories, and halfway through he'd start laughing so hard he could hardly finish, and then my mother would start laughing with him, and they had the best time over Sam's stories. And eventually married a very lovely woman. The two of them had 2 children, Henry and Dorothy. Sam read an ad in the local newspaper about a beautiful piece of land for sale in northern Wisconsin. This is the lake country of Wisconsin, and it is indeed one of the most beautiful areas in our country. And so he told my mother, he said, you know, you could buy this and you'd have a summer place to go with your family. This was in the 20s when everybody was getting rich, so she had plenty of money of her own. And he came back saying it's absolutely beautiful. It's 40 acres on a lake and river, and you'll love it. So she bought it. Guess who owns Minocqua today? Henry Schwartz. Sam is still up there. My mother is still up there. They're lying side by side in the cemetery.
There's my grandmother, Ethel Schwartz. Fastest thing on wheels. I don't know how old she could have been there. It's hard to tell. There she goes. She was like on rollers. She just scooted. And I think that's one of the Kurtzen girls. I think Margie. No! Miracle, miracle. We have just gone to Highland Park, Illinois, to the Kurtzon home. We will now be entertained by one of Elman's scripts. Look at these little kids running around her grandmothers now. That was Maxine in the cloche hat. These are all Kurtzen girls. Elman's script. The Bum, I think. This is the first. Marge, Sylvia, Alice, Bernice, Sylvia, and Maxie. My grandma again with a fancy hat. And Aunt Lottie and Aunt Celia. Look, at home they wore a cloche hat if they went outside. Here they are sitting in the garden on Kenmore. Alice, emoting. Cutie. There's our little Buick Roadster. And it must have had a rumble seat. Supposed to be a automobile salesman, I guess. No, we're not interested. Come and try it. morning. Gosh, look at those cars. Why don't you invite your husband to drive? No, I'm broke. Well, come on, have a ride. I'm probably the only one that knows the plot. Don't you want to take a ride? No, no, no. At one time, Mayor Deaver lived across the street in one of those houses. Well, just get in and take a ride. Oh.
She's cold.
Oh, dear. Come on, try it, try it. Something's peculiar there. No, I can't remember the color of that little roadster. Joey Dalkin, as a baby, a grandfather today. He's always smiling today. I don't know why he was such a glum kid.
Cute kid.
Yeah, he was. Aunt Lottie and Mom. She really, her teeth were fine. I don't know what the shadows. Why does it do that?
Oh, the contrast is so highlighted.
Look at that. They all look like they have teeth. Alice. First encounter as a mother. That's it. That's a me. That's a me. I remember that dress. I bought it in New York. Yeah, oh, God. So long ago. Aunt Lottie. Mom. Poor Joey. Patty cake. That was not a good hairdo, Mom. I think the girls are wearing their hair like that today in a longer version, all
Yeah,
knotted up. And Aunt Lottie. You can see that fur was in on everything. Albert Kurtzon, B. Goldberg Pollock, Bob's dead. We're all dressed. I think that was Eleanor, Coral Gables. The Kurtzons had a place in Coral Gables. This obviously is not their house. It's a hotel. But look, you didn't go any place without your cloche hat and your gloves in Florida. Now if they put any clothes on, it's wonderful. I don't know who the little one is. Oh, Coral Gables. Breezy. Oh, look at the bag. What's that? Yeah. Who's that? Who's that under that hat? My mom telling little Alice, Violet May Koolish, a story. Bored as hell. Oh, Mom, quit it. I heard it. Leave me alone. Oh, she could Charleston. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Oh, now watch Maxine. Ah, she's heard it too. Forget it. My mom goes right on.